Oh, it's contact. There's contact. And there's contact between Cheryl Paul and Campbell Pilling. Hello and welcome everyone to the first round of the 2023 Daniel Ricciardo Series. We are at Shenington, 6 miles west of Banbury for this first round of this season. It's a dry day, albeit a little bit blustery out there, but the first of 7 compelling rounds to this year's championship. For those that aren't familiar with the series, 3 classes, our DRS62s, the youngest of our 3 groups of drivers, the DRS100s, the junior category, and the DRS125s, the senior drivers amongst our competitors. As we said, 7 rounds of this year's championship. We start here in Oxfordshire at one of the most historic kart racing circuits in the UK. Shenington has been hosting top-level kart racing events, British Championship kart racing events since the 1960s. And it's one of the classics, isn't it, when we look at British kart racing circuits. A pleasure to be here with the series this weekend. The first time we've been here for many of a year as well. It's an old airbase here at Shenington, an old airfield, and it's a great mix of high speed, high momentum corners, just with a couple of tricky technical sections thrown in as well. We'll take you around this Shenington circuit throughout the day and talk to you about the ins and outs of what makes it one of the most thrilling circuits on the calendar this year. In terms of where we go from here, we head over to, or down to Wales for round 2 at Landau. That's in late May, just around about a month's time before we head to our most southerly circuit in Clay Pigeon for round 3 on the 24th and 25th of June. We then head up to the northwest to Houghton Park in mid-July before a return not far from here actually to Little Rissington, another of those great historic kart circuits. That's over into August, end of August, and then up back to North Wales, Glanigors, into September for the penultimate round of the championship, which all comes to a conclusion at Wilton Mill on the 7th and 8th of October. That's the calendar. You'll be able to join us live through our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. You can watch all the action here if you don't manage to be with us here at Shenington. And before too long, the action will get underway. We'll talk you through the process of the day just about 5 or 6 minutes before we start the first on-track action. And that on-track action is through the DRS 100 class, the junior class of our 3 groups of drivers. They are split into 2 groups, and that is just purely because of the volume of drivers we have in our DRS 100 category. 11 to 16 years old, these young drivers, and they are split into a Group A or a Group B. So it will be the Group A drivers who head onto circuit to start their qualifying session. So all of the drivers in the series get a time qualifying on the morning of every race day, 8 minutes to post their fastest possible time, and that will give them a grid position for the first heat. So just a minute or so to go until the start of the DRS62 8-minute qualifying session. The drivers on the dummy grid at the moment. Several of these drivers part of the DRS Academy as well. The drivers with the black number plates. We've also got a returning champion in Oscar Walsh, the number 1. Harley Drake also in the field, 8th in last year's championship, as is Aston Redpath, and the DRA plate there of Carter Inskip Clarkson. There is the number 8 of Harley Drake. So we're about to get underway then with this 8-minute qualifying session. Is there a problem there for the 139 of Reuben Jenkins? There is. That's pushed to the side. It's like some sort of issue there as the rest of them stream out then, and the clock starts the countdown. And they're going to get a start, an electric starter, try and get that DRS car upwardly mobile as the rest of them head out onto the circuit, including Aston Redpath. So a smaller group of DRS62 drivers than we had last season. But still some very promising talent indeed in this group of 8 to 12-year-olds. Just looking out the window here, still some issues down there getting Reuben Jenkins underway and started. Some sort of mechanical issue for Jenkins. They're doing their best down there to get that kart onto the circuit to complete that qualifying session. We've got 6.5 minutes, so they've got a bit of time to get it done. But it looks like it's not going to happen for young Reuben. He's out of the kart at the moment. So, who's the early pace setter then? Well, the early pace setter is the number 8 of Harley Drake. Inskip Clarkson, second fastest, but a good second or so. And fastest goes the 129 of Roach, and instantly that fastest lap is taken away from him by Aston Redpath, and Walsh goes up to second on his first line lap. We've got a driver there as well, Jacob Sulk, who is parked up on the entry into Park Bend. So this might take a little bit of clearing at the end of this session. So Redpath, Walsh, Drake, Roach. Lozu is the number 132 of Neo Lozu. And Roach goes fastest again then, and then Redpath goes faster again. So the two of them are out there together. And as one goes quicker, more or less instantly dethroned by the other one. I'm just looking down to the familiar green helmet of our champion, Oscar Walsh. He needs to find a little bit of pace, doesn't he? Oscar Walsh at the moment. He's 0.6 slower than Aston Redpath, third fastest out there at the moment. So Redpath, Roach, Walsh, Drake, and Lucas Eze, Leo Zhu, and Inskip Clarkson, who's dropped down now to 7th fastest, and then the 93 of Clayton Sultan. The 140 of Kai Sidhu. So Redpath, Roach, Drake, Walsh, Eze. Stream through with, well, just around about half distance still to go as Walsh goes second fastest, so 0.2 improvement from Oscar Walsh. Oscar Roach is third fastest. Redpath, Walsh, Roach, Drake, Eze. And then Drake goes up into second as well. So Harley Drake moves up into second. None of them anywhere near at the moment. Oh, we've got a technical flag out there as well for Carter Inskip Clarkson. I'll try and have a look and see what that is for. He's coming in, so I'll get a good view right below me as he comes into Parc Fermé as to what the problem is? Good question. Don't know. Must have something that is hanging off or falling off. He's just absolutely battered the steering wheel in frustration. It's something at the front of the... I wonder if his nose cone's loose. His massage panel might be loose. Well, that's the end of his session. And what time did he manage to do? So he did a 52.5. Good enough for 6th fastest at the moment. He's good enough for the best of the academy drivers. So Redpath, Roach, who has found some pace, hasn't he? Oscar Roach, just a 100th of a second slower now than Aston Redpath. Our champion is demoted down to 4th, so Oscar Walsh, 4th fastest. So Redpath, Roach, Drake, Walsh. Esser is 5th. Inskip Clarkson is 6th, but won't go any better. There is Aston Redpath, fastest. About to come across a little bit of traffic, isn't he? Although he might use these two to drag him along for a couple of corners as they fight in front of him. He might get a lovely little tour here in the last couple of corners. This might help him, or he might just catch them at the wrong time on the way out of there. Does he go any faster, Redpath, this time? No, doesn't. And now he's got to find his way through, so he's going to lose probably a lap in the traffic. Traffic including the 129 of Oscar Roach, so and Ezra as well, so he's in amongst quick drivers. Lozu in 7th, and Sultan is 8th, and Sidhu is 9th. So through the chicane come the likes of Redpath, Roach and Eze. He's going to go down the inside, isn't he, Aston Redpath? So that might just help out Oscar Roach a little bit. Can he just get a little tour, a little drag from the fastest man on circuit, Aston Redpath? What's Oscar Walsh got? Anything else? I mean, he's only 0.2 of a second slower than Redpath. Got a fairly lonely qualifying session. As I'm just watching him come now, he's just going to come across a little bit of traffic, Oscar Walsh. What we do know, this is a very handy little racecraft driver. He knows how to win races. He knows how to deal with close battles. Him and Robinson had a couple of real ding-dongs last season before he was crowned champion. So we're into the final 10 seconds or so. I think Redpath will probably get round, will he? It'll be very, very close. Yeah, he's just got round before the time has elapsed, but he's got some traffic in front of him as well, so it's probably going to ruin any attempts to... Oh, he's got some... The traffic's been horrible to him as well, so it's going to ruin any attempts to get a faster lap on that last lap. Walsh has completed his final lap, hasn't gone faster, so Redpath, who I will guarantee will not go faster on this lap as he was involved in a squabble with a back marker. No real right to let him through, it has to be said. He's on a flying lap as well. Certainly no blue flags in the qualifying session. So Redpath and Roach, Drake, Walsh, Esser, top 5. Inskip Clarkson retired from the session a few minutes ago, 6th fastest. Lizu is 7th fastest, and then it's Clayton Sultan, 8th fastest, and Kai Sidhu is 9th fastest. They're the 9 completers. The likes of Jacob Zulk didn't complete the session, and we know there was an earlier problem with Ruben Jenkins as well. So that is the second of the, the third of our qualifying sessions, the DRS62s. Aston Redpath, the early pace setter then, just over a 1/10 of a second covering the top 4 in the DRS62s. Oscar Roach 2nd, Harley Drake 3rd, Oscar Walsh is in 4th place with Lucas Eze in 5th, and just around about 10 minutes time before we have the DRS 125s for the final qualifying session of the day.
If you could, how many have you got to move?
Just that one.
Oh, right,
He was number 11, so yeah, it's just that one.
Not a lot then.
No.
Wasn't too bad. Wasn't too much of a shuffle. Right, I'll double check that's all good. And I'll remind you, to win a race, first we need to finish it, gentlemen. Can I just say, ladies and gentlemen, we're not actually meant to be filming. Under safeguarding rules, you are not meant to be filming anyone on this grid. I don't really care.
So the first heat for our DRS62 drivers. Youngest of our competitors this weekend. They'll be led by Aston Redpath, who was fastest in the qualifying session earlier on this morning. Oscar Roach alongside him. There was 11 hundredths of a second between the two of them in terms of lap time. Harley Drake on the inside of the third row. He was about a tenth of a second further back. And then Oscar Walsh, the current champion, alongside in 4th place on the grid. And the start official blows his whistle. The engines are turned on. And away they go to start their formation lap. So 9 minutes plus the 1 lap for these young drivers to pick their way through the field if they're further down, to try and lead from the front in the case of Aston Redpath. And certainly just to lay that marker, just to try and set the standard in terms of their championship aspirations. do a lap and a half of a formation. Remember, we've got the DRS62 drivers and the DRS Academy drivers within this field. The Academy drivers, the black plates with the white numbers. All the same machinery, all the same equipment, same tyres. Come up to Wilkins for the end of the formation lap. Will they get going? Very difficult to see the lights from our vantage point. It doesn't really spread out start. Sure, that's not going to go. Well, there's the lights. Have they gone? Surely not. Oh, it was a really messy start. No, they haven't gone. I didn't think they would have done it. It was really messy. There is a false start flag out as well. They just broke formation way before they were up towards the start-finish line. Redpath certainly got the jump. They just need to hold formation a lot longer, certainly as they come through the left-hander and the exit of Wilkins. They need to all be absolutely together. And then once they're all pointed straight, they can start to accelerate gradually up towards the line and off they go. So it wasn't the best of first attempts from the DRS 62 drivers. So Redpath and Roach got to sort this out, the pair of them. The start is dictated by the front two. So will they get away at the second time of asking? They'll come to the line. It's a little bit better. It's a lot better. And I think they'll go this time. They do go this time. So then, Redpath and Roach. Who's got the best of starts? Looks like it's Aston Redpath. It is indeed. And the pink-coloured helmet of Oscar Roach filters through into second. They all file down towards the Stratford hairpin. Swing through there and then up the hill. They've all managed to get through the first three or four turns without much, certainly without contact. So they're all where they should be. And they swing through the Bruno chicane up towards the hangar. Remember, we've got 9 minutes of DRS 62 action here. And Aston Redpath away at the front. We'll get them a formation of them all as they come through. Four of them absolutely together. And I tell you who's right in the mix. The trusty old green helmet of Oscar Walsh, the champion, who tries to move up into second place, tries to get past Harley Drake, who's moved up ahead of Oscar Roach. Roach hasn't had the best of opening laps, has he? He was up to second, and then he just dropped now back in behind this group of four drivers. So Redpath happy for them all to squabble in behind. Now then, Walsh looks to the inside. He will make that one stick, and I think going through as well, certainly trying to go through as well, was Roach, but Harley Drake holds the inside line through the little left-hand kink on the exit of Wilkins. There's the move. Nice and clean and tidy. You can see that Roach tries to make it stick as well, but the corner does tighten. It goes left on the exit. Just the natural curve of the racetrack meant that Harley Drake could hold on to his third place. So now then, our champion, Oscar Walsh, is in hot pursuit of Aston Redpath as they go up towards Wilkins once more. Will he do a carbon copy of the move he made on the previous lap? He won't, but in behind him, Oscar Roach was learning. He was learning about the overtaking manoeuvre from the champion, and he put that same overtaking manoeuvre on the same man as well, Harley Drake. And Drake drops now down to fourth. Here is that move. Just tucked out of the slipstream. Down the inside into Wilkins. He was already well ahead by the time he got to the corner, wasn't he? They both missed the apex by a country mile. But here's a move for the lead then. So down the inside had gone Oscar Walsh. Doesn't manage to make it stick, but now he's got the run up towards the hanger straight and into the hanger corner. Look at Roach behind them as well, just ready to pick up any pieces that these leave behind. Roach might pick up one as well. He has done. So then Owen back down the inside. He's Redpath going to go past both of them. They're absolutely side by side as they go across the line. Redpath and Walsh, 1 and 2. If Redpath can stick it down the outside, he will have the inside line for Cappy. He doesn't manage to do that. And all of a sudden, new race leader, Oscar Walsh. Been here before, hasn't he? Certainly knows his way to navigate through tight situations, close races. Wasn't the fastest in qualifying this morning. But when it's come down to the wheel-to-wheel stuff, starting to prove why there is a number 1 on the front of that DRS kart. Great little recovery move from Redpath. Little curb, climbed up the curb, didn't he? Oscar Walsh. Still got 5 minutes to go here. This first heat for the DRS62s. And really, any of these 4 are absolutely in contention. Behind them, Lucas Esser is about 4 seconds further down. And then it's a battle of the DRS Academy drivers, DRA Academy, where currently Carter and Skip Clarkson leads by a couple of seconds ahead of the number 93 Clayton Salton. Behind him is the 139 of Ruben Jenkins. A little bit further back we've got the 111 of Jacob Sulk. And then it's Neo Loizu, and then at the right at the back of the field, in 11th place at the moment, I think that it is indeed, it's Kai Sidhu at the moment, 11th. And we've got to change for the lead because Redpath have had enough of sitting behind Oscar Walsh. And he's managed to find a way through as they went through Cafe Corner last time. And here comes Walsh back down the inside. He's not going to relinquish that lead for long, and he dives down the inside, but he's going to lose track position, I think, as they come back up the hill. The two of them eyeball each other as they go up towards the Bruno chicane. And not only has Walsh lost the lead, but in trying to regain the lead, he's lost second place, and he's lost it to Harley Drake. So Harley Drake is now up into second. Could have timed this very nicely. There was contact there between Drake. I think there was contact between Drake and between Oscar Walsh. So Drake has lost the position. It was really strange. It was halfway down the main straight. Here we go. This will be interesting. So where's the contact come from? I think Drake just tags the back, does he? Oh, it's there. Oh, a little bit of contact from Oscar Walsh. Just as they were heading towards the right hand, they just tagged the back of Harley Drake. Just put him a little bit. Oh, and Harley Drake's got the contact one. I think that's the other way around. I think when the officials look at that again, and obviously they have the benefit of the action replays, I think they'll see that Oscar Walsh was the perpetrator in terms of the move that meant that Harley Drake dropped back down to third. And here comes Walsh down the inside again. Redpath gives him room, but he's going to have to lose the lead here. And down the inside as well. Oh, took 2 places in one go, did Oscar Roach. Now he's going to lose one on the way out of the corner to Redpath. They're absolutely together, these, aren't they? 3 or 4 abreast as they come down towards the Cafe corner once more. Still 2 minutes to go in this DRS62 first heat. A cracker, hasn't it, between these 3 or 4 drivers at the front of this field. They'll stay together, line astern, as they go through Wilkins once more. Went through the hairpin once more, rather, and up towards the chicane. And Redpath tries to go down the inside. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum. Is he on the way out? I think he is. Roach tries to go to the outside. Over his shoulder looks Oscar Walsh. Walsh then leads from Redpath. 90 seconds or so to go here. Redpath all over him. Oh, Walsh a little bit strong in his defence going into that corner last time round. Here's the move from Harley Drake on Oscar Roach. Down towards the hairpin they go once more. So, how have they sorted themselves out now? It's still Oscar Walsh who leads. There's 50 seconds to go, so they're probably going to get through to complete one more lap. So it's sort of 2.5 laps from here. Head up the hill towards the Hanger Straight. So Redpath's back to third for the first time, I think, in this race. Now has to try and find a way, not only past Harley Drake, but past Oscar Walsh as well. So it'll be 2 to go this time. Any one of these four absolutely right in this first heat. Contention here. Lucas Series further back. There's no change in the DRS Academy drivers. Inskip Clarkson still in 6th place, leading the Academy drivers at the moment. Down towards the Stratford hairpin. And Walsh does a good job at holding off Harley Drake. Redpath. But we've seen how quickly this can change. We've seen how quickly one move can lead to not just losing a place, but losing a couple of places here. And where will Harley Drake have a look? Will he go for the inside as they go into the hangar? No. Will he look into Wilkins? No, not quite close enough, is he, this time? As they stream through, almost just dropped into 2 groups of 2, and Redpath just needs to close the gap here. This should be the last lap. It will be the last lap as they go through the right-hander at Cafe and then through the left. And I don't think Walsh needs to defend here. I don't think that Drake is quite close enough to impact this as they go into the hairpin. They're not, and Walsh has just found a couple of kart lengths, which is very timely for Oscar Walsh to keep this chasing pack in behind him. They go into the chicane. Now what can Walsh do here? Can he be neat and tidy and keep this little advantage he has over Harley Drake? He has done, and Harley Drake's now having to switch to defence of that 2nd place. Walsh has done a good job. He's done a super job, hasn't he? Just to find that extra pace at the right time here. And there is a change for 2nd, is there for 3rd? Redpath, I don't think they are. They all went into the corner differently, but they've all come out the corner in the same order. So Walsh then wins it. Drake in 2nd, Redpath 3rd, Roach is 4th. Essa will come home a very distant 5th. What a super race from the DRS62s. Great example of the sort of quality that they can deliver. Top 3 go into Parc Ferme, Walsh, Drake, Redpath. So Roach, Essa, it was indeed Carter Inskip Clarkson who finished in 6th place. He was the top of the Academy drivers. It looked like the 1-1-1 of Jacob Sulk, who was in 7th, and Lizu in 8th, and Jenkins in 4th, and Sultan in 5th, and Sidhu in 6th place. Of the Academy drivers, they were 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, respectively. So the DRS 62s have completed their first heat then, and our attention turns to the final heat of the day before we head towards the lunch break and then the pre-finals and finals this afternoon. It's the DRS 125s scheduled off in around about 5 minutes' time. DRS62 just preparing for their pre-final, led by Oscar Walsh, last year's champion. A very solid start to his championship defence, it has to be said. Harley Drake alongside him. Row 2, Aston Redpath, who was the early pace setter in regards to time qualifying earlier on this morning. And Oscar Roach alongside him. Lucas Esser is on the inside of row 3, and then it's the DRA player, the academy driver Carter Inskip Clarkson. Row 4 is Jacob Sulk and Leo Loizu. Ruben Jenkins and Clayton Salton on row 5, and then Kai Sidhu is the last of the runners on the inside of the 6th row. So the pre-finals here in the same regard as the heats is 9 minutes plus a lap. The DRS 100B final will be the first of the 4 finals. And the winner of that will have the chance to go on to the back of the DRS 100 Grand Final. For those of you looking for the times for the main finals this afternoon, the DRS 62 final is 3:30. The DRS 125 final is 3:10, and the DRS 100 final 4:10. We've got a trophy presentation scheduled for around about 5 o'clock. And then we'll pack up and get off to the south of Wales in 4 weeks' time for round 2 of the 2023 Daniel Ricciardo Series. So the DRS 62s head through Wilkins and head down towards, they're going to go around again, aren't they? Yep, they're all giving the universal signal that they'll be heading for another formation lap. I wonder why that is, because they're fairly well formed, so I don't know if they're waiting for somebody to join the back of this field. They're pretty much all there, aren't they? So just one more time round. I think we've escaped the biggest threat of weather. I don't think we've got any rain forecast, although how much you can trust Apple weather forecasting is up for debate. So they head up towards the hanger corner, this flat out right-hander in normal circumstances. And they get onto the brakes for Wilkins, long right-hander, tightens on the exit. Fairly friendly curb on the inside, not so friendly curb on the outside. Got to go this time, you would imagine. Lights are on, and away we go then. Walsh then on the inside, looks to get the drop into the first corner, and he has done. He cuts across, as does Aston Redpath into second place as they head down the hill for the first time. Walsh then on the inside, swings into the Stratford hairpin. Releases, got one spinner at the back of the field as well. Into the chicane then. They go right, left, right and release up the hanger straight. Already developed a short gap between the front two. Redpath and Walsh. And the chasing two of Harley Drake and Oscar Roach, third and fourth. And Ezra under a little bit of pressure now from Carter Inskip Clarkson, I think it is. Just in behind them, it is. He's managed to get past Lucas Ezra and into 5th place. Jacob Schulk is into 7th. looks like Sultan is 8th. So still 7.5 minutes to go here, plus that one final lap, and starting to look like it could be these two in a little breakaway group at the front of the field. Oscar Walsh doing his very best to add as many championship points as he possibly can to these early stages of the championship, looking to back up his championship win from 2022. The green helmet, the green and black race suit as he heads down the Stratford Straight. He's still got Aston Redpath very much there with him. But the gap back now to Harley Drake and to Oscar Roach as well. It's around 1.2 seconds at the moment. However, what we do know is if these two do start to have a real scrap, and it looks like they're about to do so, as down the inside goes Redpath. And then back down the inside goes Walsh, who wasn't willing to give up the lead, was he, for more than a corner? Redpath dived down the inside. Now, if they keep doing that, it will allow the group behind to close in. It has done. They've taken nearly half a second out of them from those two overtaking manoeuvres. They lost nearly half a second, the front two. So if Redpath's going to do it, he needs to make sure it sticks. And if Walsh is going to drop into second place, he may need to think about just staying there for a couple of laps and then planning an assault on Aston Redpath in the closing stages, so he wouldn't have the added pressure of Oscar Roach in behind him to try and nick that second place off him. Here he goes again. And down the inside goes Redpath. Now, does he switch to the inside again, Walsh? No, he doesn't. He stays to the outside this time. But look at Roach, just closes up ever so slightly as to the outside now goes Oscar Walsh. He won't make it the long way round. And Aston Redpath does make it stick this time and now heads back into the lead. So Redpath and Walsh and Roach, fastest lap, personal best for Carter Inskip Clarkson last time round. He's currently in 6th place, but he's not the leading academy driver at the moment. That is the 111 of Jacob Sulk. And these three having a real go now, aren't they? And that's where you can see just that Redpath has been joined now for second place by Oscar Roach. It's now a 3-car battle for the lead, and Redpath goes for the inside. Cut off this time by Oscar Walsh, who will now know they are in a 3-car battle for the lead. And if they keep going, it'll be a 4-car battle for the lead, because we know Harley Drake is no slouch either, and we know that he could get on terms with these front three if they continue to hold each other up by continually swapping places here. Personal best for Inskip Clarkson last time round. So the leaders head up to the chicane once more. What have we got? We've got 4 minutes still to go here, so plenty of time for any of these three. Plenty of time for Harley Drake to get involved as well. The gap back after that as Redpath goes down the inside and will take the lead this time. Now, will Roach be able to follow him through? No, because Walsh just shuts the gap. Just look at the gap back to Sulk in 5th place. Yeah, it's fairly significant, so I don't think he's going to come into play in the closing stages. But just keep an eye on Harley Drake, because he has closed into within, well, it's less than a second now, the gap. And as they continue to squabble, as they continue to fight, that gap comes down to Harley Drake, and he is involved in this race. He has got an opportunity here to pick up some more points. Walsh leads, then Redpath, and then Roach, who knows, because Roach gave a little wave over his right shoulder there as if to say to Harley Drake, yeah, I know you're coming, but just stay there. And he dives to the inside, and Redpath just says, no, not this time, son. And he just retakes that position away from him on the exit of the corner. So these young men giving us some high quality here. Lots of clean racing, lots of clean overtaking manoeuvres as we go into the last 3 minutes and down the back straight. Into the Stratford hairpin and this release up the hill slightly into the Bruno chicane, which is where they are now. They go through the left and then they'll just flick right, flat out and up towards the Hanger straight. And the long, fast Hanger corner here, flat out for these young drivers again. And then down into Wilkins. And a swing left over start finish. It's not actually straight, the start finish straight here. It's on a curve. A long left-hand curve takes you all the way around, and then you flick right through Cafe, and you're well into another lap once more. 2 minutes to go here. No change in the front 3 or 4 for a couple of laps. But Harley Drake now absolutely with them, and it's 4 karts that will battle their way into the closing stages here. So what does Roach do? Does he just sit with Redpath and say, yeah, you take me towards the leader, and I'll maybe look at picking you both off in one instance? They've all started to get a little bit defensive, haven't they? Started to get a little bit tight on the way into Wilkins last time. Does look like Walsh has maybe just got the measure of them here, though, doesn't he? He's got half a kart length's advantage, and nobody's really been right on the bumper of Walsh for a lap or two. So there is an element of comfort to that. It doesn't look that way, I appreciate. But Oscar Walsh will be feeling fairly comfortable here, especially as the two behind are now starting a little scrap between themselves. This plays right into the hands of Oscar Walsh. He'll be more than happy for them to squabble over second, third and fourth and just let him just cruise away in the lead. Redpath needs to stop that happening. He needs to put a couple of decent corners together here. Just close this gap. He'll close in under brakes and he'll probably get a better run out of Wilkins as well, as Walsh was a little bit narrow and didn't need to be as defensive last time round. It's going to be 2 to go this time then. So Walsh and Redpath, and he is closer this time. He's only, well, he's right there, isn't he? Right on the bumper as they go down to the Stratfords, and now Walsh goes defensive and then switch to the inside for Redpath, and as he did that, he was overtaken by Roach and then caught him on the undercut on the way out. Now, Oscar Roach needs to reconsider that overtaking manoeuvre, because it's an area of the circuit where all 4 of them were together. If he'd have picked an overtaking manoeuvre somewhere, maybe a little bit harder braking, maybe like Wilkins, he might have just been able to pop both of them. But once he gets one of them, he spends so much time diving down the inside, he loses all his momentum on the way out of the corner, just gets picked off on the inside. Just needs to think about the best place to overtake here. What he's done is he's actually cost himself a couple of kart lengths, and now it's only really Redpath who's close enough to Walsh to make a move on the final lap, which is where they are now with almost half a lap to go. I'm not quite sure why. Redpath's gone defensive there because he didn't look over his shoulder, so I had a bit of a... I was saying that Charlie Radford was far too keen to look over his shoulder in the first heat this morning. That was a chance where Redpath just needed a little glance over his shoulder on the way down the Stratford straight. He would have seen that Roach wasn't close enough. He wouldn't have actually defended. He wouldn't have lost the gap that he has now lost to Oscar Walsh, who's effectively stopped himself any chance of winning the race because he had a little glance over his shoulder on the way down to Stratford. Anyway, worked in the favour of Oscar Walsh, who comes through and finishes in first place. Aston Redpath's celebrated like he'd won it for finishing second place. I've been a bit smarter, Aston. You might have had a chance of winning it. Third place is Oscar Roach. Fourth is Harley Drake. Just clung on to them, didn't he, at the end there. Fifth at the top of the academy drivers was Jacob Sulk. And then it was second in the academy, 6th overall for Carter Inskip Clarkson. And Lucas Hesser finished in 7th. So that's the conclusion of the DRS62 pre-final. Oscar Walsh then takes his second win of the day. Aston Redpath second, Oscar Roach in third. So we've one more pre-final to go. That is the pre-final for the DRS 125. DRS 100s, and then our three grand finals will all be underway from around about 3:30 this afternoon.
Wait, have you got a transponder on that? Oh shit.
Wait, does he?
No.
Oh god.
That'll
Dad,
be alright. That'll be back.
Daddy's gonna be at the thing.
You've got 6 minutes, you've got 6 minutes, ask you be fine. Don't worry.
That was lucky.
Safe by the road.
You don't see anyone. Don't work like that. Boys, can we show these grown-ups how it's meant to be done?
No pressure.
Look, mate. Look, that's...
What time do we go out?
Look, that's...
5 past.
We're not letting you out at all. That's it. You're grounded. You've got 5 minutes, young man. Yeah. We'll take something off someone else's.
You'll be fine. Don't panic. It's failing anyway.
Relaxed, isn't it? That's relaxed. On the dummy grid, yeah. He was zoned. He was asleep.
Down there. On the runaway. Where? We went there before. Runaway down there. Where the hill goes up.
Do you need a hand, Ray, or you alright? Sorry, didn't mean to make you panic.
Is it the right transponder? That's in
It's all sorted. Huh? As long as you didn't want me to run back.
basically finished.
So 3 grand finals left to go. The first of those grand finals, the youngest of our drivers, the DRS62s. We've had a heat win and a pre-final win for Oscar Walsh. Can he make it a treble? So Oscar Walsh with Aston Redpath alongside. Oscar Roach is third, Harley Drake is fourth. Then it's the 2 academy drivers, so Jacob Sulk on the inside of row 3, Carter Inskip Clarkson on the outside of row 3. You'd expect those 2 to battle it out for the academy prizes. Lucas Essa is on the inside of row 4, and Neo Lizu is on the outside of that row, and Ruben Jenkins and Clayton Salton on row 5. The last of the runners is Kai Sidhu. Starts 11th on the grid. So we move to 12 minutes plus a lap. So those just tuning in now I can tell you that we're about half an hour behind schedule due to an incident in the DRS125 pre-final. That delayed us a little while. We're just about holding a 30-minute delay to proceedings, which means that the DRS125 grand final will be around about 25 past 4. And the DRS100 grand final scheduled for 4:45. The trophy presentation will follow shortly after the final race of the day. So here come our DRS62 drivers. So Walsh and Redpath on the front row. And the reigning champion just showing his class throughout the day. Wasn't the quickest in time qualifying this morning, but since then, although he hasn't run away with the heat in the pre-final, they've been fairly close, done enough and shown his true champion mentality, and will be looking to get a nice big points total for the day. The lights are red and go green, and into the first corner first goes Oscar Walsh. Will Redpath just try and stick it around the outside and then hope for an inside line into Cafe. He doesn't manage to get past the leader, but he has held on to second place. It looks like Oscar Roach is into third. So where's Harley Drake ended up in all that? Has he come through one very, very wide on the way through the Stratford hairpin? And then to the chicane for the first time then. Three of them out front, very close together. It's Walsh, Redpath and Roach. And here comes Aston Redpath, and here comes Oscar Roach down the inside of Oscar Welsh, and Welsh goes from first to third in the space of one corner, as we often see here. And here's Harley Drake as well, so don't just rule him out just yet. We said in the pre-final, didn't we, as very wide goes Oscar Roach. Made a little mistake through Cafe Corner, run very, very wide, certainly outside track limits on the way out of Cafe Corner, and he's lost a place as well to Oscar Walsh. So Walsh will now set his sights back again on Aston Redpath. So it's the number 9 and the number 1, first and second. And here comes Walsh again, so he wasn't behind for long, was he? In fact, exactly one lap that Oscar Walsh was away from the lead. He's now put himself firmly back in front of this race. And here comes Harley Drake as well, down the inside of Oscar Roach. Can he switch to the inside and take advantage of a wide line from Roach on the exit? Not this time, but he is putting pressure on Oscar Roach, is Harley Drake. Roach and Drake both go a little bit wide through the right-hander at Stratford. Oh, and there's contact between the two of them. And that has meant that Oscar Roach is off the circuit in the chicane. We were very close to it, weren't we? I think it was a little bit of a dive down the inside from Harley Drake. It's a really strange place to try and attempt an overtaking manoeuvre in the chicane. And they've come to blows where there's only really room for one cart to take the racing line in there. And there's a black flag for Harley Drake. So the officials have deemed that to be, here we go, let's have a look. So Oscar Roach probably got the inside line. Oh yeah, it's not great. Yeah, it's not great. Fairly unceremoniously dumped out of the chicane. And the penalty for Harley Drake is a black flag. So he will see that. He'll have to come into the pits. He will not take any further part in this race. It means that we've got a two-car battle for the lead, still with 8.5 minutes to go here. Two-car battle for the lead, and then Lucas Ezra, who's been promoted all the way up into third place, so could be a potential podium here for Lucas Ezra. Let's just make sure that Harley Drake has acknowledged that black flag. He has. He now enters the pits, and Lucas Ezra will carry on his merry way. I'm sure very, very pleased to be into the top 3. The battle behind then, so the Daniel Ricciardo Academy battle is currently being led by Carter Inskip Clarkson. Just behind him is Neo Leozu. So that's still very much up for grabs as well. Not an awful lot between those two, half a second covers them, and then just behind them, and not a million miles away from them, is Ruben Jenkins as well, the 139. He's third of the Academy drivers at the moment. 7th on the road. And Aston Redpath leads the race with, we're not even at half distance yet. It feels like all kinds has happened in this DRS62 Grand Final. As Harry Drake is demoted to the paddock. Did Oscar Roach get restarted? No, he didn't. I'm just looking down at his cart there. So it'll have to be a drop score for those two. The drivers can drop their worst heat, their worst pre-final and their worst final. So all is not lost. But you certainly wouldn't be wanting to come out of round one knowing that you're going to have to drop that as one of your scores. Doesn't give you much margin for error for the rest of the season. But a long, long way to go, and a long way to go in this race for these two leaders. Lucas has a very lonely third. He just needs to circulate really to claim that third position. I don't think he's at any threat in front or behind at the moment. But there could be a lot to be said here between these two. Still a long, long way to go as Redpath just relinquishes the lead once more, and a penalty for Carter Inskip Clarkson. So what's he done out there? Something that he wasn't meant to do. So he's currently leading the Daniel Ricciardo Academy, 4th on the road. And he's going to receive a penalty as well. Now, if that's a time penalty, what's he got? He's got 2-second advantage at the moment over Neo Luizu. So very dramatic. DRS62 Grand Final. An awful lot's happened, and we still turn our attention to this front two. Had 2 retirements. So here is Oscar Walsh. He's completed 7, nearly 8 laps of this race. Still got 5 minutes to go. There's nothing between them, is there? The lead two, Redpath and Walsh, absolutely together as they come round to complete another lap. Lucas Esser is a further 5 or 6 seconds behind as Neo Luizu receives a warning, the 1-3-2. He's currently in 5th place. He's the second of the Daniel Ricciardo Academy drivers. Behind him is Jacob Sulk. Behind them, 7th on the road and 4th in the Academy is Clayton Salton. Doing a good job up in 7th place at the moment. He's got past Ruben Jenkins, who drops to 5th in the Academy class and 8th overall. Kai Sidhu is behind them, and then the 2 retirements of Harry Drake and Oscar Roach. There's another penalty, so Jacob Sulk receives a penalty as well, so not sure who's going to win this DRS Academy Grand Final by the time they've applied all the penalties. Kicking lumps out of each other at the moment. So we've got 3.5 minutes remaining here. And Oscar Walsh is back out front. They've swapped the lead at several different opportunities. But for the last few laps, he's done enough, hasn't he, Oscar Walsh? He's kept himself ahead of Aston Redpath, but he's still there. And you do get the impression that Aston Redpath is maybe just biding his time here. Certainly doesn't need to make an attack just yet. Probably another minute or so at least, and just maybe try and spring something of a surprise. He can also spend time behind Oscar Walsh, just working out where is the best place to overtake? Now remember, that's not always the place where you're quickest on the circuit. It's sometimes the place before the place where you are quickest, so you can try and build that buffer. They're also going to come across the back marker as well here. And they're going to hit him right in the middle of that hairpin. It cost a little bit of time to Oscar Walsh. He's managed just to stay ahead, hasn't he, of Aston Redpath up the hill into the chicane. Now we're down to 2 minutes to play here. Lucas Esser is still third, don't worry about that. And it's still Carter, Inskip, Clarkson, who I think is going, well, we know will receive a penalty. He's nearly 5 seconds ahead of Jacob Schulk, who is also going to receive a penalty as well. So really tough to work out who's going to win that. Depends on the severity of the penalties, you would imagine. So Walsh and Redpath, where are they? Here they come, first and second. Less than 90 seconds now. So if Aston Redpath is going to plot a way past, he could do with doing it now. Could do with doing it very shortly. Maybe it will be into Wilkins as over his shoulder looks Oscar Walsh. They're heading up the hanger corner now. Here he goes then into Wilkins as the door firmly shut in his face by Oscar Walsh. So Redpath just started to show his intentions there. Certainly showed that he's going to have a go. He's got two laps to go. This will be really tight. Whether it is 2 laps to go next time round or they get another one in. Be really close, this. So it may be 3 to go, maybe 2 to go. As Walsh, and mechanical for somebody as well there. So mechanical flag for one of the drivers. I don't think it's either the front two. Ezza is still in third. Here are the leaders as they pop out of the chicane. So the first question is, will they cross the line before the time is up? It'll be very, very tight, I would imagine. Into the left-hander again. Just having a look at them, just had the one mechanical flag has come in. So they're going to cross the line. This is close, isn't it? So yes, they have. So it's last lap. So it is the last lap this time. So right then, has he got a way through Aston Redpath? What have you got, Aston, in the closing stages as the 1-1-1 of Jacob Schulk just rejoins the field? Have you got anything into the last corner? A little bit wide from Oscar Walsh. Made a little mistake, but he's still held on to the lead. He's now got Redpath almost alongside him as they head to the chicane. It's going to have to be Wilkins. It's the only place now that it's going to be done. And I don't think Redpath is close enough. He has a look over his shoulder, Oscar Walsh. He'll know that Redpath's not quite there yet, but he's cruising onto the back bumper. Will he dive down the inside? There's not quite enough room for him to do it. It's going to be Oscar Walsh then. He comes through the left-hander for the final time. Looks at the checker flag, and Oscar Walsh wins the grand final for the DRS62, second place for Aston Redpath. Lucas Esser is going to come through in third. He's not quite there yet. Here he comes now into the checkered flag. A third place finish for him. It's going to be Carter Inskip Clarkson who's first on the road. However, that's going to be worked out, I am not sure. It was second in the DRS Academy for Neo Liutsu. And then behind him was Ruben Jenkins. But it's Oscar Walsh then. He won the first heat. He won the pre-final. He's won the final as well. It's a wonderful start to the defence of his championship. Oscar Walsh is a DRS62 winner once again here at round one of the Daniel Ricciardo Series at Shenington. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the trophy presentation for round one of the 2023 Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Shenington. We'll start with the DRS125 class, and our best rookie in the DRS125s goes to number 310, Max Papworth. And our top three in the DRS 125. Third place then for number 6, Carl Watt. Second place and a great drive from 15th on the grid, number 332, Freddie Cox. And today's winner, an opener's account for the 2023 season, number 3, Tom Snape. Well done. Put your hands together for our DRS 125 top 3 and best rookie. On to our DRS 100 class. We'll start with the B final winner. The winner of that B final was number 166, Dorian Malek. And the top rookie in the DRS 100 Grand Final was in 10th overall, number 135, Jacob Milkarski. Our DRS 100 top 3, one of the best races we've seen here at the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Third place then for number 3, Charlie Ratford. In second place, number 168, Connor Scarisbrick. And today's race winner, number 147, a super drive from Sherry Ann Powell. The DRS 100 top 3, everyone. On to our DRS62s, and we start with the Academy class in third place. 6th overall for the DRA plate, Carter Inskip Clarkson. Second place, 5th overall for the 139 of Reuben Jenkins. And today's DRS 62 Academy winner, 4th place overall for 132, Neo Luzu. Our DRS Academy top 3, everyone. On to our DRS 62 Superclass in third place, number 55, Lucas Eze. Second place and in a great battle as well with the winner, number 9, Ashton Redpath. And today's winner, picking up where he left off last season, number 1, Oscar Walsh. Ladies and gentlemen, the DRS62 Grand Final, top 3. And that's everything from us all here at round 1 of the 2023 Daniel Ricciardo Series at Shenington. We'll do it all again in just a few weeks' time at round 2 in Landau. We'll see you then.